Ever glance at your phone and wonder, like, who actually built this thing?
Right.
We're going deeper than the touchscreen today.
Yeah.
We're talking about the electronic equipment assemblers. Those are the folks who are putting all the pieces together.
It's a career a lot of people don't think about, but they're the ones making our tech work.
Absolutely. And we're using RoleCatcher's insights to guide us on this deep dive.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at their career guide, their interview prep, and their job search features to really figure out how to make it in this field. No more mystery.
Yeah.
We're going to find out what an electronic equipment assembler actually does all day.
It's so much more than just like assembly lines and tweezers,
Okay.
RoleCatcher actually points out the huge range we're talking, like tiny little earbuds to those massive control panels you see in a sci-fi movie.
Okay, now I can picture it.
Right?
It can't just be snapping pieces together with that much variety. What's a typical day look like for an assembler?
So imagine this. You're starting your day. You've got this like really complex blueprint in front of you. It's like a recipe, but for electronics.
Right.
You're picking out the right components, maybe doing some soldering, which can be super intricate. And all the while, you're making sure every single piece fits perfectly.
It's like a puzzle, but
It is.
with much higher stakes if you mess up.
Yeah. And speaking of stakes, quality inspection is like a huge part of it.
Right.
They aren't just building, they have to make sure everything works perfectly.
Yeah, the last line of defense against a faulty gadget.
Exactly.
Wow. Big responsibility. Sounds like you need a good eye and some serious problem-solving skills.
For sure.
What's the work environment like?
Be ready to be on your feet.
Okay.
It's a very hands-on job, often in a manufacturing type of setting. Think standing, moving around, carefully handling, sometimes really delicate components. It's definitely physically demanding.
Right.
But some roles, you might get to work in a clean room environment.
Oh, that's right. Like in the movies.
Yeah.
Super high tech.
Yeah.
But with all this intricate work, what skills do you actually need to succeed as an electronic equipment assembler?
Well, obviously you need steady hands.
Okay.
But RoleCatcher, I think it's really specific here.
Okay.
They talk about being able to read those complicated blueprints we were talking about before, because those guide every step of what you're doing.
Right.
And then mastering soldering, that's like tiny welding, but like way more precise.
Okay. Soldering.
Yeah.
Tiny welding.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty uncoordinated all of a sudden.
Right.
I can see why you need precision.
Yeah. And then there's troubleshooting. Like imagine a whole batch of circuit boards, they're not working right.
Oh, no.
As an assembler, you got to figure out what's going on.
Right.
You're going to be using multimeters, all kinds of diagnostic tools to like isolate the issue.
Okay.
Maybe it's a bad component. Maybe it's just like a tiny little break in a solder joint.
You basically have to be an electronic detective.
Yes,
Looking for clues.
exactly. And that's where, those soft skills they always talk about.
Yeah.
Those come into play too. Because yeah, you might be working by yourself sometimes, but you have to be able to communicate really clearly with your team.
Makes sense, yeah. Especially when something's going wrong.
Especially when something goes wrong. Nobody wants to be the only one who doesn't know why the alarm clock prototypes are going haywire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we talked about the hands-on skills, the problem solving.
Right.
What about education? Do you need like a full-on engineering degree to get into this field?
Not necessarily, actually.
Right.
RoleCatcher found that you can get started with a high school diploma or something equivalent,
Okay.
combined with just a real interest in electronics.
Okay.
Like if you already like to tinker with stuff,
Right.
take things apart, figure out how they work,
Yeah.
you're off to a good start.
Okay. So you're naturally curious.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm guessing maybe like certifications or specific training would give you an edge.
Oh, for sure. Certifications are great because it shows, that you've got the skills.
Right.
And you have the knowledge to do the work. And electronics, it's a pretty technical field.
Yeah.
So those credentials, they can really help you stand out.
Like a big flashing sign on your resume.
Exactly.
Hire me.
Exactly. So let's say you get the job.
Okay.
You're ready to move up the ladder. What can an electronic equipment assembler, where can they go in their career?
Okay. This is what I love. Give me the career progression.
Right. So RoleCatcher, they lay it all out in stages.
Okay.
You're usually going to start as like an entry-level assembler.
Makes sense.
You're learning the basics, getting really good at reading those blueprints, perfecting your soldering technique.
Right.
But as you get more experience, you might move up to like a junior role.
Okay.
Where you're a little more independent. You might start working with a team on more complex projects.
So you graduate from like solo soldering star
Right.
to team leader.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then after that, typically you go to an intermediate level.
Okay.
And that's where the leadership skills, they really start to matter.
Got it.
Think like overseeing whole projects from beginning to end,
Right.
making sure the quality control is up to par.
Right.
Maybe you're even training new assemblers.
So you're not just building electronics, you're building the workforce.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And then for those who are really killing it, they're passionate about this stuff, there's the senior level.
Okay.
They're the mentors. They're the problem solvers. They can optimize the whole process.
Right.
They're the go-to experts for anything assembly.
Wow.
They've gone from reading blueprints to maybe like having a hand in designing them.
That's amazing.
Right.
That's like reaching the peak.
Yeah,
So it seems like there's a real path for growth,
definitely.
but, finding a job in electronics assembly
Yeah,
or any field these days,
it's tough.
it can feel impossible.
Mm.
Online applications, those automated systems,
The worst.
it's a lot.
It is, and it can be super frustrating. But this is where those extra RoleCatcher resources,
Okay.
they're really helpful. Remember the interview prep stuff we talked about?
Yeah. Are they like going to give us the questions ahead of time?
Wish.
Right.
No crystal ball, unfortunately.
Okay.
But they do have a really big database of interview questions,
Okay.
specifically for different career paths, including this one.
Well, that's cool.
So they can't tell you exactly what they're going to ask,
Right.
but they can give you a really good idea.
They've analyzed a lot of these interviews.
They've analyzed thousands of interviews, so they know like what the common questions are, what interviewers are looking for, and it gets even better.
Or even better. You're killing me. Do they have a robot that'll do the interview for me?
Not yet, but it's
Okay.
pretty close.
Okay.
RoleCatcher has this feature. You can actually record yourself answering practice interview questions, and then the AI gives you feedback.
Wait, really? The AI analyzes how you're doing?
Like having a little coach right there on your computer. The AI looks at your delivery, how clearly you're speaking.
Okay.
It even looks at what you're saying. Are you covering all the bases? The stuff that interviewers really care about.
So you can do a practice run, see how you did, make adjustments, all before you even talk to a real person.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It's like a total game changer.
Mhm.
And speaking of standing out, that's where their job search platform comes in. I mean, we've all been there. You're on the job boards, just scrolling forever.
Oh, yeah.
You send an application into the void.
The worst. And those online applications, ugh, they want your whole life story in that little box. Why do you want this job? Come on.
Right. It's soul crushing.
Yeah.
So RoleCatcher wants to change that.
Okay.
Their platform, it pulls all the jobs from all these different websites, saves
Yeah.
you so much time.
Right.
But here's where it gets really cool. They use AI to figure out what your skills are. And then it matches you with jobs that actually make sense for your experience.
So it's like a matchmaking service,
Yes.
but for your career.
It takes all the guesswork out of it. No
Right.
more just randomly applying to stuff. And on top of that, their platform can even look at a job description
Yeah.
and tell you if there's anything in your resume that you should change.
It's like having a career counselor, like right there,
Yeah.
saying, hey, maybe brush up on your soldering skills before you apply for that senior technician role.
Totally. They want to help you put your best foot forward,
That's awesome.
highlighting all your strengths so you can get that job.
Well, this whole deep dive has been really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, from like the really detailed stuff about what electronic equipment assemblers actually do every day
Right.
to these crazy high-tech job hunting tools, it seems like technology is changing every part of this job.
It's true. And it's so cool to see, right?
It is.
I think whether you're building circuits or a career,
Right.
the big takeaway is never stop learning and use the tools that are out there to like really reach your potential.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so for anyone out there
Yeah.
thinking about becoming an electronic equipment assembler, what's the one thing you want them to remember?
If you love tech, you like to pay attention to the little details, and you're willing to keep learning new things, this could be it. This could be the career for you.
It sounds like the perfect blend of working with your hands, but also like a ton of room to grow.
For sure. And hey, maybe you'll be the one building the next big thing.
Right.
The thing we're talking about on the next deep dive.
I love it. Thanks for geeking out with us today about electronic equipment assemblers.
This was fun.
This has been the Deep Dive, and we'll catch you next time.